The libs hate to hear it, but the American people say President Trump is delivering.
But Donald Trump is who the voters thought he was. What are we talking about here? Well, is Trump doing what he promised in the 2024 campaign? Yes, 52%. The majority of Americans say that Donald Trump is doing what he promised. Trump is basically doing what the American people thought that he was going to do.
But how does he do it? Listen to CNN's Caitlin Collins.
Trump is such an accessible president. Anytime the camera's around and the reporters are around, it can turn into a press conference. And sometimes presidents are press averse. Trump embraced the media. He does not sleep. I had this source who said, you never want to be on Air Force One on a trip. He doesn't sleep on these trips. And you're going to Asia or something, and that's kind of the only time you're going to sleep before you go on this trip.
Yeah.
But Trump is just always up and talking.
Oh boy.
No one heard that. It is funny listening to CNN, who never got any access, Greg, with Joe Biden now complaining there's too much.
This is progress. They went from he's Hitler to he's really approachable. Yes, we were telling you that for years. We were saying this dude is the most transparent leader in history. It makes you think about what is life going to be like after Trump. He broke the filter that the media had inserted between us and the news. I don't consider us the news. I consider us us. We are part of reality. But it's like all the news would have to go through this filter. Trump said, nope. I don't think you can go back after Trump. You know, it's like when I discovered Playboy when I was a teenager, changed everything. I could no longer go back to the JCPenney catalog and, erase bras with my number 2 pencil eraser. You guys did that, right? Anyway, the Democrats keep saying they need their Trump. I figured out who it is. Granted, she is not eligible to be president, but Greta Thunberg is exactly the Democrat model. Have you thought about this?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Do you want something Trumpy? She's got kind of an outsized personality, and she gets all the world's attention. But she reflects everything about the Democratic Party now. Angry, unstable, stupid. No offense, Harold. I don't count you as a Democrat because I know you're not really one. But she reflects the state of the party. Think about it. There's only one person in the world that's like the Democrat Party, the face. It's Greta Ugly Face Thunberg.
I thought you were going to say Hunter Biden was the...
Well, I gave up on him.
Okay, because he didn't do your show?
Yes.
Okay. He's still invited.
Charlie Sheen did. Charlie Sheen was great.
Charlie Sheen's better.
If he was a Democrat, he might win. Do you agree with Greg's assessment?
No, I think in the coming weeks, well, first of all, Greg makes a good point. Democrats, we don't have a coherent, cohesive leadership bunch right now, leadership message right now. It's interesting in Congress right now with the shutdown and the focus Democrats have on health care. I found it curious today or yesterday that one of the leading voices in MAGA and the Republican side in Congress, whether you like her or not, Marjorie Taylor Greene has come out to say we may need to negotiate on health care because I have people in my district who are hurting. So we'll see if that goes in their favor, Democrats. Two, we have a couple of races coming up over the next 4 weeks. You have the New Jersey governor's race, the Virginia governor's race, and the New York City mayor's race. Depending on how Democrats do in those races, we may have at least some semblance of what the message ought to be, Greg, as we find ourselves going forward. What Democrats ought to understand is, and I know we don't like facts sometimes, but what Democrats need to understand is President Trump is upside down on the economy. We talk about polling data. He's in the 40s, the low 40s on the economy right now. The advantage he has, Jesse, is that Democrats, everything you guys say, we are so dysfunctional. We have no leader, and we seem leaderless. So the president's able to, I think, get away with a lot more than he should. The country is deeply divided, and Democrats, we have an opportunity. But if you continue to do the things, Greg says it in a way I wouldn't quite say it, but if we continue to resemble more of what he's saying, we're less likely to be able to lead and have people believe that we can lead going forward.
Kennedy?
Kamala Harris. She's supposed to be the leader of the party. She was the vice president. She was your nominee to be president, and she blew the whole thing. She's got her book, 107 Days. She didn't want to run for governor in California. I know we're going to talk about that race in just a little bit because she said, the system's broken. So then she writes this dumb book, and she's asked in one of the interviews, who's the leader of the party? Now, if you're writing a book about how great you were, yet somehow failed to ascend to the presidency, you should be making the case for why you should be the nominee again in 2028. So when someone asks you who's the leader of the party, if she had the political mards necessary to lead the Democrats, she would have said, it may. And then later, but she couldn't even do that. She's like, well, I don't want to leave anyone's name off the list, so I can't really say who it is, because there's not one. And that lends itself to the dysfunction and to the imbalance. So when you claim that the president is heavy-handed, it's because Democrats, and, you know, to your credit, your great credit, you are a man of ideas. And if more Democrats were like you, they would take a page out of the Handsome Herald playbook.
Yes.
And they would present ideas to the American people. There is a dearth of ideas. There is a dearth of leadership. So you guys don't get to complain when the president moves forward with his agenda.
My name was mentioned, but
Can I just say
Okay,
one
your name was mentioned by Handsome.
But
Okay.
I just want to say one thing. You know, Caitlin Collins is just accurate in what she said. She's saying he's accessible. It's absolutely right. He never sleeps. That these are all accurate assessments. But I do think you're going to start to hear a different tone from a number of places because their leadership is changing dramatically at CBS and potentially at CNN. And there is a sea change that is going on because they're figuring out what we figured out a long time ago. It's a big country. People have a lot of different opinions. So I think that's a little bit of what you're seeing here.
All right, and before we go, hold your pen up so everybody can see that, Martha.
I love it.
This is my crown pen.
I love
Where's that from, Martha?
I feel like I could make your dreams come true with this now that I'm waving around.
You already have, Martha.
Yeah, it's from Buckingham Palace.
Oh, just Buckingham pen. That's all. Has a crown on
It's
it.
in a gift
solid
shop.
gold.
Anyone can get one.
Okay. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.